We are counting down the days to RebelCon, and virtual passes are now available at an early bird discount of $200 off the normal ticket price. This virtual pass gets you live access to all general sessions with our expert keynote speakers, as well as links to view the sessions later. This deal will end soon, so get your RebelCon virtual passes now. Hit the QR code for more info or visit rebelcon.marketrebellion.com.
Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion. And I'm still going to go back to Friday because that combination of Friday and Monday and that 1,000-point move to the downside from the Dow and the 500-point move down from the NASDAQ over those 2 days just really was astounding. And where are we going to get a bounce? When are we going to get a bounce? Well, we haven't gotten it yet, quite yet anyway. When you look at Tuesday, certainly markets struggled all day on the Dow and actually finished down about 150 points. We struggled in the NASDAQ as well, although at one point in time, we were up 100 points very early in the session, pulled back, couldn't hold on to those gains, and we did basically close the day about flat. So we certainly aren't seeing the bounce that maybe a lot of folks were looking for, at least not quite yet. Maybe a little bit today. We'll get into that in just a second. Taking a look at what's going on with the volatility index. We did close above that 24 level. Obviously, that movement that we are seeing and a little bit of the nerves about what's going on specifically with the 2-year, the 10-year. You've got the 2-year at a 3.3 yesterday. You had the 10-year right around that 3 level, basically a little bit just above that. But we also had crude. Crude continues to hold on well above 90. It actually closed just beneath that 94 level. We had natural gas kind of late in the day reversed, actually jumped all the way up towards 10. And then by the time we got to the close, it was back about 9.25. We've seen that kind of movement before out of natural gas. We'll see if there's any more upside or if it's going to pause for a little while. Obviously, that's been something we've been on all over that for quite a long time. Just this major move. And it literally started at the beginning of the year when we were looking at nat gas at 350. Imagine that. It was 350. And here we are now looking at nat gas a lot closer to 9.5. Let's just call it that. The volume yesterday was absolutely extraordinarily bad relative to what we've been seeing. Been talking about these volumes well over that 40 million mark, the year-to-date average well over 40 million mark. Yesterday, 31 million contracts trading in our derivatives markets. That really was a shocking number, and maybe it was the fact that the markets just weren't doing a whole heck of a lot. They moved around just a little bit. And maybe that was part of the trigger that we were seeing there. Bitcoin continues to hold right around that 21,400, 21,500 sort of a level. Seems to be getting very comfortable there. Then it was the energy. Now, in the first hour of the day, we actually came in on the take. It was up about 4%. We finished the day up, not quite 4%, but not that terribly far off of those levels. It was ConocoPhillips leading the charge along with the big boys. Names like Chevron, also Phillips 66. Occidental has had an absolute great reverse after it jumped very fast last Friday, pulled back a little bit on Monday, jumped right back again yesterday. And by the way, it's moving again today. It's actually hitting 52-week highs today. I'm seeing Occidental actually got just about 75, 50 already in this first hour of trade this morning. Materials continue to have a pretty decent start. Yesterday finished the day up about 1%. It was off of that first hour where we had a little bit higher numbers, but Nucor and Letter X, which is U.S. Steel, I look at Cliff, I look at Freeport Mac, had a pretty decent day. I also take a look over at the consumer discretionary names. They did pull back after being up about 1% early on. They pulled back a little bit. It was Tesla and Amazon and Meta all pulling back a little bit there. And then I look over at what was going on with technologies. That finished into the red. Actually, not very big into the red, but just enough. And we talked about NASDAQ finishing up the day about flat. Well, Apple, Google, Microsoft, all in negative territory, but nothing big, not a big sell-off by any stretch. So the beta energy names absolutely stood out. Those were the movers yesterday. You take a look at some of those names like Halliburton, obviously Occidental, Schlumberger, I throw in a Devon. You get the idea. Those beta energy names, we talk about it all the time. They do it in both directions. Yesterday, the direction was up, up, and up. Freeport Mac had a really great day yesterday. I want to also give a little bit of a shout. ExxonMobil definitely had a strong day, along with Tesla that was moving okay. Those Chinese names had a pretty decent day yesterday as well. NetEase, Baidu, PDD, JD, all those names had a nice move to the upside. We had CrowdStrike, we had the Dow, but there were some negatives out there, and Twitter leading the charge. Also, pool. Everybody's talking about all these pools and going through the pandemic. That actually is another one of those quote unquote pandemic stocks, because some of these names were way in front of themselves. And I don't know if pool necessarily definitely falls in that category, but it certainly could. And that was a name that was under some pressure yesterday. We had some pressure as well with some of those healthcare names. Once again, Lilly, take a look at Medtronic, Vertex, Bristol Myers. I got Biogen. I've got United Health. All of those were in the red yesterday. Zoom down 16% yesterday. Again, a great representative of a pandemic stock that took off. Everybody fell in love with it. Oh, you got to own this name at 300. It's not even close to 300. As a matter of fact, we're in double digits in Zoom. So gives you a little bit of an idea. They're not a terrible company. Do people use them? Absolutely. Are they slowing down in that use? 100%. Those brakes are on. Using it a lot less than they were just a year, 6 months, year and a half ago, and so forth. We've also got some Home Depot that was actually getting hit just a little bit, nothing big, but we definitely had a little bit of pressure there as well. Now, onto the markets. What's going on today? About kind of nothing, to be honest with you. You take a look at the markets as we started off the day. We're down about 10 or 15 points on the Dow. We were up about 5 points on the NASDAQ. We have not really hardly moved throughout the session. Now, we did in this first hour start to get a little bit of momentum. We started negative, and then we got up a little bit. We were up about 40 points just before I came on. But that's been an up and down move all day, either side of flat. And then you take a look over at the NASDAQ, on the other hand, started to make a little bit of a move. It was flat early on, and then all of a sudden we started to make a move. It was up about 55 points right before coming on with you. So a little bit of movement to the upside. We'll see if that holds on as well, because it is early, just the first hour of trade. You've got crude trading right around 94. You've got the VIX just right around that 24 level. The VXN, the volatility index of the NASDAQ, just beneath 30. Keeping an eye on that one as well. You got Nat Gas still hanging right where it was, right kind of where it froze up yesterday, right around 9.25. Also, take a look at that 10-year, starting to move a little bit more towards 3.1. Last I looked, it was about a 3.08 for the 10-year. It's been moving around either side of 3, but we're seeing it start to move a little bit more. Bitcoin kind of unchanged, not a whole lot to talk about there. Energy starting to get a little bit of a lift, up about 1% early on. Consumer discretionary, not quite 1%, but about 0.75% to the upside. It started off the day negative. Communications were also negative. That's flipped around a little bit. Tech flipped a little bit, got closer to flat. And then you've got the financials down 0.25%. That moved towards flat. So that's why we are seeing a little bit of a pickup with the Dow up about 40 points and the NASDAQ up about, call it about 55 points or something close to that level. The heavy lifting, we all know it. All you got to do is take a look as far as the NASDAQ's concerned. Now, we've pulled back, certainly, but what were the lifters so far in this first half of the year? Well, it's been Apple, it's been Microsoft, it's been Amazon, it's been Tesla, those kind of names. Now, what does stand out for me today is this news with Amazon and Peloton. The coat hanger has moved from the closet, and now it's moved online. And that's the best description I can give for you for Peloton. We'll see how that all goes. We've got Powell out in Jackson Hole. A lot of people talking about that. We also have Salesforce, and we got NVIDIA in front of us. So we've got a definite full day in front of us to just kind of navigate through these markets and see exactly what's going on. Intuit starting off the day very nicely. We also have the cruise ships starting off the day in a positive way. Names like CCL and Norwegian, and you're taking a look at Royal, all in positive territory. Mosaic, we've been talking about that day after day after day. Boeing having a pretty good day. Zoom bouncing back. It should. It was under a lot of pressure. Oftentimes you see a little bit of a bounce. You got Lucid. You've got Salesforce going into some of the numbers as well. Those auto names are really what was dragging on the market early. It's pretty interesting to see AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts both under pressure early on, along with Walgreens. Walgreens has had a really tough go of it of late, and certainly today, adding to some of that to the downside. Got two unusual activities, and then we're out of here. I got Williams on the energy front. So a little bit over $35 a share. we've got 5,100 of the September 42 calls. That's quite a move, but it's still interesting. It did stand out for me early on. We also had movement in a lot of other very natural gas type names as far as some positive moves there as well. Keep an eye on some of those various names. But those options were going for about 10 to 15 cents. Fairly cheap shot. I'm not reading too much into that one, but certainly we've been talking about nat gas. Nat gas starts to break through that 10 level, starts to maybe push towards some of those 2008 levels up towards 13. Certainly there's a lot of natural gas names that could make a nice big boost along the way with that as well. So keeping an eye on that name. Next one, ChargePoint. Yes, I know we talk about it every day, whether it's on Rebel's Edge with John or here on the Take. We talk about ChargePoints. It feels like just about every day. Stock trading a little bit over $15. We got a buyer of 25,000 of these September 2nd expiring calls at the 16 strike. So the stock's trading a little under 15 and call it 15 and a quarter. And here they are buying the 16 strike calls. Only 25,000 of those calls going for about 66 cents. Already seeing, it seems like every single day we see something in ChargePoint, and that's not an exaggeration. It seems as if it's almost every single day. And this just continues that once again. And they're definitely looking at a little bit of upside, not a whole lot, and buying a little bit of extra time, not going for this Friday, but going for the following Friday. So keeping an eye on that name, very, very close eye on that name as well. Folks, hopefully you had a chance to join us for the roundtable yesterday. If not, maybe there's a chance you'd be able to get that sent to you. Maybe not. We'll see. But there's a lot going on today. We've got a lot of different news. Keep an eye on Jackson Hole. And oh, by the way, my wife's birthday. Happy birthday to my wonderful wife. And we've got the state fair kicking off here in Minnesota tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Have a great day of trading.